Hello and welcome to Day 5 of Engineering Mastery Academy's training on 5S. I'm Brian Wood, your host, and today I'm going to be going over how the first quarter's trainings on productivity, learning and teaching, and project planning all feed into having a successful 5S project. First of all, productivity. If you don't understand basic productivity, you might find it very difficult to find the bandwidth, the time, available to do a 5S project. Secondly, once you're in the project, if you don't have some basic understanding of priorities, and unfortunately, I did not go over so much dependencies of one item on another. But I believe using those productivity tools, it should come naturally for most of you to recognize where you have dependencies on one part of the project versus another. And on priorities, the training on priorities actually ended up on day 2 of project planning, a special bonus training at the end because I forgot to include it during the project planning. I'm during the productivity training. That's an example of me not planning properly forward. That was the first training, so I forgive myself for that. Hope you do too. Learning and teaching module, I did everybody a big disservice. And I noticed nobody has watched the learning and teaching modules. They really should have been engaging and motivating your team. It's really all about understanding why people would listen to you. It's only by understanding why they listen to you that you can influence them to listen to you and follow you. And there's a big section, I believe it's mostly day 2, about how to motivate your team, how to get understanding of what will drive them to help you and help the team be successful. And of course, it's about learning and teaching also, so there's also some additional information if you want to learn more about the subject, things for you to consider when you go to learn more. Then project planning. Project planning, I tried to give fundamentals that apply no matter what project planning methodology is being used. And without fundamentals of understanding building the team and communicating with the team, setting the goals, etc., then you're going to have a very hard time having a successful 5S project. And this sets true whether it's a 1-week project or a 2-month project. So what's an example of using all this on a project? Let's say your boss comes to you and he wants you to do a 5S project on product X. He tells you, okay, you have 3 months to do this project, and I want you to fully implement 5S. Before you commit and say, of course I can do all of that, you need to go back to your planning. What do you have on your schedule? What do you have due that month, that quarter, that week? Month and quarter is more important in this context, but you need to understand what your workload is and either say, go back to your boss and say, yes, I can do this in this time frame, or say, I can do this in this time frame, but the scope of the project might not be a full 5S. For example, maybe you don't get to tape the floor out, or maybe you're not going to be giving part numbers to all the free stock tooling. So you can either say, I can do this, but I need to limit the scope, or you can say, well, I can do this, but in order for me to do this, I need you to relax requirements I have over here that are taking up my time. So once you have that and you have agreement, okay, this is what the scope is. I don't know if you're going to be, let's take an example of you are told you have 2 people to help you on this 5S project. And you're going to have each one of them 4 hours a day. You now need to use the planning tools again to figure out, okay, how can I most effectively utilize their time? Where do I need them? What things do I need them to work on? Also, you want to use what's in the learning and teaching module to make sure you communicate with them effectively what what the expectations are from them, why it will benefit them, and get input from them in terms of what they feel, what they would feel most productive doing. They might not be able to get what they want. You might say, I know you prefer to do this, but I really need you to do something else. But again, even if it's not like that, you want to make sure you don't say, I need you to do this. You want to make sure you say, this is a team effort. I need you to recognize that we each have our part to play in the team, and I really need you to do, etc. You always want, you never want to make it sound like you're just giving orders. You never want to just give orders. You always want to work on getting buy-in from the people. Next, okay, so this project is going along. You've got everybody scheduled where they need to go. You've decided, okay, we've done our spaghetti diagram from day 2 of the 5S. And now we are going to start moving the tables around. We're going to move the assembly table closer to the second operation table, whatever that is. And you go out there to move the table and realize, oh, there's something on that table that needs air or water going to it. And it's got a hard line, a hard pipe, metal pipe going to the table. We can't actually move it. Suddenly, you can just say, well, okay, we don't move it, we don't get to get that benefit. But if you're really thinking about it, you should say, well, what would it take to move that table? Can we go down to the hardware store, get some pipes, and extend it in order to make this benefit? Or, because of the situation, we really have to hire a contractor to do it for safety. We need to, schedule out contracting, et cetera, et cetera. Is it going to move the cost beyond the budget for the project? Is it going to push the time out? So you're going to run into these things that aren't expected, that you're going to have to look into real time. So let's say, keeping with the example, you look at it and you say, okay, we need to move this table 6 inches. It's going to cost $3,000 to get somebody in to move this table. Your boss says, no way. Okay, the table stays there. You don't get that benefit, but you still get the other benefits. So you move along and you've reorganized everything, and you've taped out the tables, and you've taped out the floor, and the first S is already done, things were cleaned out, second S is done. You get to the third S, and you get pushback saying, oh, I'm sorry, third S is shine. You probably won't get too much pushback on shine. But when you get to the fourth S, standardize, that's when you can start running into a lot of pushback. Because part of standardization is making sure that the operators have time at the end of the day to clean up the area and make sure everything's put away. The biggest problem that you might run into here, let's say you've scheduled out, everybody agrees, okay, every day we should be spending 5 minutes doing this, and once a week we should spend 15 minutes doing these other things, and once a month we need to do some equipment maintenance, for example. So you set up this checklist of what needs to be done, and maybe you don't get pushback immediately. Let's say the boss says, that makes sense, that's reasonable. And then next week, a big order comes in, and everybody needs to hustle. There's no money for overtime. Everybody needs to get stuff done. What's going to happen? The first thing that's going to happen is that 5 minutes you need at the end of the day to clean things up, that's going away. Unless you can use influence, again, going back to what I called mistakenly or as a bad choice, the learning and teaching module, using the influence you've learned from there to help your boss understand why five extra minutes can make such a big difference, and why it's important that the sustaining and the standardization for the sustaining is there and done. So what you'll typically find with the 5S project, and it's really difficult to give you one example that's really meaningful because there's such a wide range of ways that the fourth and fifth S can be thwarted by management. That the best I can say is expect problems. Expect to have to fight for the sustaining, the standardization. As I said in the training, there's different ways of different levels of standardization. Some will go through without a problem. Some maybe aren't so critical, so you can let them go. But the ones having to do with sustaining, those are the ones that will typically kill the gains recognized during the project. And if you do this big project and you're so great and everything looks so wonderful, but it's not sustained, then it was really a waste of time. So in this example, you've done everything, everything's good, everything looks great. The big order comes in the next week, and the boss says, there's no room for overtime. I need you to work until you get this done, as much as you can. If you don't step in and say, hold on a second, when you say as much as you can, you mean within the parameters of still cleaning up every day. I had a situation similar to this happen where it was almost exactly that, where I said, do whatever's necessary to get this out. And I raised my hand and said, hold on a second, you mean do everything that's necessary within the confines of. So try to do a gentle pushback when you see management stepping in and destroying the sustainability of what you've done. I hope I've done a decent job today of sort of tying everything together a little bit. I'm tying together a little 5-minute trainings with another little 5-minute training, which is probably way over time now. That's okay. I hope you've gotten something out of it. As always, I'd love your comments. If I don't see your comments, then either thumbs up or thumbs down to know, so I have an idea if it's been helpful for you. Until next time, it's Brian signing off. Thanks for joining me.